There we are. Good morning. Welcome to Radium Ray Ireland. Thanks for your company today. It's Chatechesis time, and Roisín is with me. Good morning, Roisín.
Morning, Father. Good morning, all.
Good. Nice to have you. And a wave to everybody there on Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like to join in here, we've got lights in our faces, lights in our eyes. They do that when they're looking for aliens. They're shining torches into dark places. It feels a bit like you're in the spotlight, and it's like foreign bodies going around the place.
Oh, my goodness.
So nice to have your company today. If anybody wants to get in touch with us, Roisín.
Oh, yes, please do.
Please.
You can telephone 014123456. And if you're outside of Ireland or the north of Ireland, it's 353 14123456, or you can text or WhatsApp at 089 467 2000. And then again, outside of Ireland or the north of Ireland, it's plus 353 89 467 2000. Or you can email info@radiomaria.ie, or you can write to us if you fancy writing a letter. Radio Maria Ireland, St Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22, and it's R7W2.
There you are. Good. That'll find us. So do please write, do please text, do please email, and do please telephone. We always like to hear, or drop a message here on Facebook and YouTube as well. St Bridget with the T of Sweden, as opposed to Bridget of Ireland. And interesting saint. She's been since the year 2000 patron saint of Europe, together with Saint Benedict, of course, the great Italian Benedictine founder, going way back, and Saint Cyril and Methodius as well. They're the Slavic saints, and they each contribute amazingly to European culture and faith. So from sort of Sweden in the north, Italy in the south, and the Slavic countries, is it, I don't know, Slovakia, Croatia, I forget exactly where Methodius and Cyril are from, but they're from the Eastern Europe. So
cover quite a bit of Europe then.
And sure, we have a stack of saints in Ireland that could be patrons of Europe if we came to it. Maybe St Killian.
That's
maybe
right.
I should put him on the list too. I don't know. He didn't do too badly, in fairness to him. And speaking of St. Killian, and Ulrika was in touch with us there from Germany, just giving us a little insight into matters in Sweden. She speaks of an organisation in Germany similar to Aid to the Church in Need, but which has an outreach for Catholics in the diaspora, meaning those who have of faith who are spread abroad, let's say. And especially in the Nordic countries, so Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. And as I was mentioning in the homily this morning, and maybe you were listening in, but my visit to Sweden that time on Legion work, I thought, the faith climate seems to be as cold as the winter climate. But you see, and not their own fault. They just, it's not there. It's just not part of their culture. It's not their thing, especially the whole thing of faith. And it just struck me. This was back in 1997, so this would have been
quite a while ago,
5 years ago, give or take. And it just struck me as a very secular place. Now, this was kind of back in the day a bit. I remember at a bus stop, there was an ad there. I couldn't read Swedish, of course, but you could tell what it was for, and it was advertising the availability of abortion,
Oh, my goodness.
And back then, and in your face, kind of at the bus stop, you just thought, this isn't
so sad.
And they had the couple that put us up actually weren't Catholics. They found guests to host the various people on the team. There's maybe 12 of us on the team, came from all parts, England and Ireland. I was I came from Ireland that time. I was thinking, I wasn't in England. But they hosted us there, and we were there for a week or 10 days. But they were very nice to us, but it just, faith kind of meant, I don't know why they even
could you communicate with them, Father?
Oh, sure, they have very good English, sure, like ABBA and Volvo and IKEA, like all these things. The English was a strong second language, especially the younger people. No bother at all chatting with them. But gosh, amazing. And one interesting thing I just remember from the house where we stayed in, they had communal hot water. So they were living in like a housing estate or neighbourhood, and the hot water was shared, and it was sourced at the recycling plant.
Oh, my goodness.
Whatever way they burnt and recycled, some elements of recycling.
Yes. That heated up the water.
And everybody benefited from it, you know.
Wow.
And Norway, I think, is a bit like that as well, that, you know, whatever gas or coal or natural resources they have, all the people kind of share and benefit from it somehow.
Well, I suppose the weather is so bad over there at times, Father.
Well, it means that they're very kind of well-off countries as a result. We have plenty of that here in Ireland, but the state seems to enjoy selling them off to private developers or whatever. We don't see it. I don't know how it is. We don't benefit as much, perhaps, as we ought to from our fisheries or from our natural resources, gas and that. Anyway, that's a whole political conundrum that I leave with somebody else to figure out. Sweden has about 10 million population, so, you know, not twice or a little less than twice of what we have. So it's not that densely populated, let's say. But just over 1% are Catholic.
Oh, my goodness.
Tiny number. So 1% of 10 million is, what, 100,000? Give or take. And most of those, 80% of those who are Catholic, are immigrants. So they're from the Philippines, they're probably from Africa, they're from everywhere. They're not even native. So the number of native Catholics is minuscule. So Radium Ray project, Ulrika mentions, doesn't seem very promising there, considering that there are only about 25,000 Catholics native to Sweden.
My goodness.
That would be tough. And I know it's the case certainly in other Radium Ray stations in Eastern Europe. They, like Macedonia and places, they just have such a tiny Catholic population. They rely on the Italy and Germany, maybe, or the World Family anyway, for funding.
My goodness.
Moscow and Russia the same. You know, they have a small number of Catholics.
Yes.
So they rely completely on the World Family. It's tough.
That's really hard, Father, isn't it? It's really hard for people to grow up and not know about God and know how much He loves them.
Yeah. Lutheranism is the state church there in Sweden, but no, not any longer. 82% apparently belong to the Lutheran Church. I wonder how many of those actually practice. Because I remember when we were doing the rounds, we were meeting people on the streets, and we tried a little bit of door-to-door contact, but it wasn't the way to meet the Swedish people knocking on doors. Yes. Probably because the harsh winters, maybe. Yes. Who's knocking on the door this hour of the day or whatever. I don't know. But, you know, we had interesting conversations with the young people, but as I recall, they really had nothing. Like, you were starting from, like, does God exist? Do you believe in an afterlife?
Yes. I suppose if they're young and they're not getting taught about it and told about it growing up, sure, how are they going to know, Father?
Absolutely nothing, yeah.
You know?
So talk about the harvest is rich, you know, the labour is few.
It'd be badly needed.
There's the huge mission territory there. Apparently there's 44 Catholic parishes in Sweden. That's more or less parishes than in my own diocese.
Gosh.
That's how tough it is. All of them belong to the Diocese of Stockholm. So there's one bishop, and the bishop is a Carmelite, Anders Aborelius, who converted to the Catholic faith at the age of 20. So interesting. He's apparently, Ulrika tells me, a good shepherd, you know, found grounded in the faith. So, like for St. Bridget of Sweden to come out of that,
fantastic.
I don't know, was it as bad as that in her day? But
yes.
Wow.
Imagine that, and like she was a married woman and she had a family and she lived so well, Father. Wonderful.
Yes. But St. Bridget wrote her prayers meditating on the Passion. I don't know if you ever came across those, Roisín, St. Bridget's prayers.
Father, no.
I remember years ago I got a copy. It was labelled, the title on the front was The Magnificent Promises. And there was a series of 15 promises in there, and one was, you know, what the task was, there was 15 prayers, and you prayed with 15 Our Fathers. I know there are 15 Hail Marys there as well, but they were quite long, substantial prayers on the Passion, and very beautiful. There's some lovely images in this old book, and the idea that if you pray them for a year, every day for a year, then you would have, each prayer would have, it would be the same number of prayers said as wounds that Jesus received on his body. that had been revealed to her. They had received so many thousand wounds,
yes.
and that each prayer was honouring each one of those wounds.
Oh my gosh!
And it takes about an hour to pray them. Right. I know I did it for a while. I can't remember if I last managed the full year, but in my early zeal.
That was wonderful that you did that, Father.
It certainly might be considering and worthy of putting on Radium Ray to have them available as a podcast if people wanted to pray along with them.
That'd be wonderful, yes. To people, there's lots of things that Catholics don't know, Father, so it would be wonderful.
They're just such beautiful prayers. I was chatting with Joe actually yesterday. We were just looking at our podcast page and we're building it all the time. It's coming along.
Brilliant.
But we'll have a section with all of the prayers in. We already have a Spotify account with the 4 sets of mysteries of the Rosary that you can pray along with.
Brilliant.
And Shane has done the audio on it, so it's
great.
Excuse me, it's top quality.
Yeah, he's a genius.
And nicely done. And he's also done back in 2019 did a lovely version of the sung version of the Divine Mercy Chaplet.
Okay.
So like that, we build up a little kind of library of nice audio that you can click on in your own time.
Yes, and sit down and pray along with them.
So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're looking for some Radium Ray prayers, or again just the voices here praying. So this is definitely one we should put on the list with the Stations of the Cross, of course, too, as part of that little podcast of a resource of prayers.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Father.
So thanks for that, Ulrika, just to do my research for me there and getting me up to speed. And Mara's just sent in the link for Cyril and Methodius. Cyril born, let's see now, they were 2 brothers, Byzantine Christian theologians. Where were they from? That's where I was tripping up a while ago. From Greece, Thessalonica, in Greece. So yeah, that's kind of southeastern Europe.
Nice.
So I'll buy that. So Sweden to Greece to Italy.
Yes.
And plenty of saints and scholars in Ireland to boot, even though they mightn't be European status, let's say.
There's still saints and scholars here now, Father, too.
Yeah, there's a few kicking around, I think.
There is, absolutely.
Trip over 1 or 2 maybe coming in the door here sometimes. Speaking of which, our adoration is continuing as well. If it's something you'd like to sign up for, finding it difficult, the summer months are proving difficult for donations, as much as they're proving difficult for adorers. Whatever it is about the summer months, people sort of where do they go?
Holidays and things, I suppose,
that's it, there. And so things slacking off a bit.
Yes.
So just to encourage you in the area of donations, but also adorers, if you'd like to come and pray with us. The other night there was 3 men came to the door at different times, but unfortunately there was nobody had signed up for the adoration. So we had to stop the adoration overnight, Thursday night I think it was.
Yes.
And these lads came in thinking there was adoration. I said, well, look, if you signed up, we could keep the adoration going.
Yeah.
And the reason that we can keep it going is that people are signed up.
They know they're going to turn up. Yes.
Correct. So, and then you can come in casually.
Yes.
But if you don't sign up and you just come and go at random, I'm sorry. We'd like to, but we can't. So please help us out if you can at all. Give us a call here, a text or an email here, and we'll put you on to John, Carolyn or Paula Merity there. They have a dedicated adoration phone, they call it, for organising all the things to do with the adoration.
Fabulous.
So we're praying from Wednesday 10 a.m. Mass through to about 2 p.m. in the afternoon on a Saturday. But it's a little bit hit and miss over the summer months. So keep it in mind if you'd like to come and visit. Make a pilgrimage to Radio Maria. Set aside a day and come up and do a couple of hours and then maybe join us on the microphone or answer the phone for a bit or volunteer.
Absolutely. Become part of it.
Just row in and there'll always be a job to be done. Now we're off gallivanting this afternoon, this evening. Roisín, we're heading off to Terenure and to Temple Oak.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you'll be able for it or not yourself, but you might find it difficult in your present condition.
It's this evening.
Well, this evening is 6 p.m. To Terenure and the 7 p.m. Mass in St. Pius X in Temple Oak.
Oh, right.
And there's masses in the morning then as well. So we're just doing a little gentle promotion, and they're more or less local parishes.
Yes, there is. All right, yes.
Were you part of the group that went to Terenure before, or Temple Oak maybe?
Well, I think I did go to a few of them before. Yes, I did. Yes,
that way. We did a weekday morning, I'm sure, in Temple Oak before.
Yes.
And Dermot McGrath had us out, I think, visiting of a Sunday. I wasn't there that time, I think.
No. I've been around a few of them, Father, all right?
Chalk it up, yeah.
Yes.
On your CV there. So we'll be visiting there, and my hope is that we will, I should think they're quite familiar with Radium Ray already,
Yes.
but that we'll just invite them if they like to become volunteers and come visit.
Oh, yes. Well, they're spreading the word, Father, you know?
Because
Great.
our own Joe Barco hails from Terenure. He's not living there now, but that's his home place.
Yeah.
Dermot McGrath himself, I think, is a Terenure man, or if not Templog. And William Tuke, who comes here, is affiliated in some way to Terenure as well. So we have a nice little representation already. But a few more wouldn't go amiss. And one or two places in the offing, please God, that we might follow through on. Joan was in touch. I got a message on my desk there. The parish in Meath, a diocese we have yet to break ground in. That hopefully she spoke to a priest, and that we might continue the contact and see.
That'd be lovely.
There's a parish in Kerry as well, I think, that a contact has been made, and that we hope to follow through on again and see can we venture back down that way too. And there's one more in Waterford. A possibility. They're all penciled in only at the minute. So with God's help.
That's fantastic, Father. Doing great work.
Plenty of work on the promotion end of things.
Old Castle. There's an old castle in County Meath, Father.
It is, indeed.
It's where I used to go on my holidays as a child.
Is Butlands up there? Is this
no, it was a family. It was a family, had a little farm and that. It was great. Okay. We saw how to... And we used to go to the river, Father, to take the water. There was this spot where the water was coming up out of the river. And that's how we got the water.
For the actual drinking and whatever?
No, but there was no, there's
no running water
there was just a little cottage.
Wow.
It was gorgeous.
Nice. And sure, Ireland is a beautiful country. I mean, we've learned a lot about staycationing now.
Yes, yeah.
And I've been able to travel around. I'm looking forward to heading to Westport for the climb up the Reek.
Oh, yes.
Sunday, next
we used
Sunday.
to go on holidays to Westport all the time. It was a beautiful hotel there, and when the children were younger, and we could climb up Croagh Patrick. It's fantastic.
Nice, yeah. And you've been up, I presume?
Dozens of times, Father. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to go up now.
So you've left your mark up the mountain, yes. We probably have to carry you up at this time.
Yes, it's magnificent to get to the top of the hill, Father, and you'll see the beautiful view and all. It is really beautiful. And the church is so old up there, you know, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So please God, if you're anywhere in around Westport, if you're climbing the Reek, we'll be there, and we hope to have a little presence at the bottom of the mountain to meet and greet people up and down.
Yes.
And I'm penciled in for the 9 a.m. Mass on top of the Reek.
Oh my gosh, that's early,
There might
Father.
be other priests there too. Yeah, it probably means climbing at an early hour. But we'll see. I've never done it, so I don't know. But sure, Matt McGuire was saying he'd been up it only last week, and sure, Matt isn't a young foot at all.
Yeah, brilliant.
Matt is probably 80, is he?
Yeah. Right, I didn't find it hard to do, Father, now, you know.
So it's not a difficult climb, really.
Well, I didn't find it now, you know, but...
You wouldn't be doing it today, like?
Well, not with the 2 sticks, Father. Unless you'd have to carry me up, all right?
They built a cable car or something.
Yeah.
Something like they do in the European mountains. So just if you'd like to join us on that, excuse me, I'll cut up here. That'll be tomorrow week, climbing the Reek. And the 2 events coming up in August that we hope to be at is the Youth 2000 Festival.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That'll be 11th to the 14th of August in Cloghos Wood.
Oh, Cloghos World, yes.
Do you know, have you been there?
Yes, I've been to Cloghos Wood College, yes.
Never been, yeah. I'm getting to see all these new places. It's great. Maybe a tourist myself. But looking forward to that. They've asked me to do a couple of workshops with the youth.
Yes, yeah.
And they were kind of taken by the Chatechesis, last Saturday's Chatechesis.
Oh, right,
it was a kind of question and answer scenario.
Yeah, they were brilliant. I was having a listen.
So they said, look, would I like to do it with the youth for the workshop? And I said, yeah, sure, I'd enjoy the kind of back and forth, the banter with Q&A. And all the hard questions, which we're always asking you to send in. You just keep it too easy for us. Cave was on the phone a little while ago, Thomas was telling me, and she listens in and loves Father Marius and Kathy, of course, with their Rosary in the evening. But the second joyful mystery was bothering her a little bit, how Father Marius refers to Jesus and John the Baptist as cousins.
Right.
And they are cousins, aren't they?
Yes, as far as I know. I don't know, Father. You'll have to explain.
Well, we hear of in Scripture the angels.
Yeah, so John the Baptist was the first, and he baptized Jesus. And
correct, yes.
Yeah,
but
so they must have been very close, Father.
Well, it's spiritually anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. But at the Annunciation, isn't it the angel Gabriel says to Our Lady that your cousin...
Oh, your cousin, and she went over to see her. That's it, and that was John the Baptist. Yeah, you're right, Father. They were cousins.
So she went to see her cousin.
Yeah.
And so it follows that, the child of your cousin and your child are cousins
they are
too.
related, exactly.
But they're once removed, or they're another step down the family tree.
Yes.
So that there's, strictly speaking, they're second cousins.
That's right. Yes.
So they're still cousins.
They're still cousins, even if they're third cousins or fourth cousins, you're still a cousin.
Yeah. And here's an interesting, this might blow poor Kay's mind now altogether, an interesting sociological statistic that we are no further removed from anyone on the planet than 52nd cousin.
Oh my goodness.
Everyone is a cousin.
Everybody's related to everybody.
Apparently.
Eventually.
No, I haven't done the maths on this, and prove me wrong if I'm waffling here. But do you know the way your family tree that you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, 16 great grandparents, 32 great, and keep going, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. And if you go back about 20 generations, you have 1 million direct descendants now of great 20 times grandparents.
Wow.
So you have 1 million people. Just go back about 400 years, give or take. So if you go back again, I don't know, so many more generations.
2,000 years.
And you count the number of people in the world, like there's whatever it is.
Yeah.
I forget the number now, 4 billion, 6 billion, whatever the number is. To get to that point, you'll realise then that we must all surely be related in the end. Because you see, in Ireland, if you just think about it, and it's a bit of a mind blow, we mentioned it before, how we're probably interrelated very closely as cousins, all of us, because it's an island, and that we sort of intermarry, and there's such a limited population of only about 6 million, that if you go back far enough, though that 400 years, say, go back a little bit further, we're all
connected.
We have to be, and many times over, when the family trees just interlock,
Fantastic.
and we're all related, so. Just have to kind of get over it, really, and treat each other accordingly.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll let you all know when my birthday is. And, there'll be presents.
You'll be getting millions of presents.
And backing lorries in the gate there. A donation to Radium Ray, that would do fine. A couple of euro. But no, it's just, it is sociologically, let's say, or biologically, it's kind of, that's the proof. Because of just do the numbers, do the math, as they say.
Well, you think we're all related to Adam and Eve, Father.
And this is the point. If you kind of go back to our first parents, then hence the 52nd cousin idea.
Yes,
that you go back that many generations, you can't be that much more removed than 52nd cousin.
Well, that's a great thing to do, Father, to let everybody realise that we are all related and we all be kind to one another. And,
correct.
We
are family.
Yes, we're family, exactly.
I used to love telling that in school to the primary school kids, because they get old enough to kind of work that out in their heads, and they'd be looking around the classroom thinking, "Am I related to him?" It's just, I don't be related to that yoke or that whoever it is they don't particularly get on with. And I say, well, the fact is you are. I've just proved it to you, and you better be nice.
Exactly.
Treat
them properly.
Mm. So there's an answer. Maybe you weren't expecting, Kay, to that question of John the Baptist and Jesus being cousins. And the understanding is they're second cousins, it seems. And when Scripture speaks of the mother and the brothers of Jesus, the expression is quite inclusive. It doesn't mean fraternal brothers or sisters. No. It means that wider family of cousins. And in that culture, and in African, Chinese cultures, all the generations are all living together, and they're all it's just all one family. And you speak of your auntie, she might be your neighbour, but you speak as her auntie. There's that closeness is there.
And that's wonderful, Father. It would be wonderful if that was kind of brought back to life, because it would cut down all the wars and different things that are happening.
Make us think a little bit differently and treat each other accordingly with respect, to watch out for one another. That would certainly be the hope. Absolutely. Let's pause maybe for a little piece of music. We have, I'm going to play the track again I played the other day. It's just a beautiful one. It's just appropriate for the Feast of St. Bridget, I thought. I see his blood upon the rose. Do you know that one?
That's beautiful, yeah.
Do you know the origin of that?
No, I know.
Did you ever hear Joseph Mary Plunkett?
Oh, I did indeed, yes.
Wasn't he the one who was executed in Kilmainham?
He was indeed, yes.
And did he marry in jail?
I think he did, yes, just before he died,
So
the same day.
His wife was a widow, married and widowed, and just amazing.
Yeah.
But a man of deep faith, as were many of those kind of freedom fighters back politically, let's say at the time. They had deep faith, and the Franciscans went in to hear all their confessions before they're executed. And Joseph Mary Plunkett wrote this beautiful verse, seeing God in the rose, his blood upon the rose, the thorns as the crown. Excuse me. And so just relating that to the meditation on the sufferings and the passion of Christ, that were St. Bridget's there as well. So thanks, Coit. We'll have a listen to this beautiful piece of music and back after this, and do please get in touch with us as well.
His blood upon the rose, and in the stars the glory of his eyes. His body gleams amid eternal snows. His tears fall from the skies. I see his face in every flower, the thunder and the singing of the birds are but his voice, and carven with his power rocks are his written words. All pathways by his feet are worn. His strong heart stirs the ever-beating sea. His crown of thorns is twined with every thorn. His cross is every
Lovely piece of music. I see his blood upon the rose. Joseph Mary Plunkett, of course, the composer there. I'm not mistaken, is it Dan Shute, I think, is the music there, and Lynn and Vin there, the performance. Sacred Songs, their CD that was sent. It was really, really nice. Just a small little update from the Ukraine, if I may. The priest director there of Radio Maria, Father Alexei Samsonov.
Oh my gosh, hope he's doing well.
Yeah, he's just letting us know. He posts up little videos from time to time, and he's very grateful for all the prayerful support of the world family of Radio Maria. So his latest video is translated there. Of course, he's fluent in Italian, so he puts it up in Italian, and of course the Radio Maria is so big in Italy. They appreciate that too, the news. He says, "I'm not in Kiev now, but in a town, Trujdinej, again I'm probably pronouncing that, it's in the north of the Ukraine anyways, where he's videoing from, about 20 or 30 kilometres from the border with Russia. And he says, behind me, this is now in the video, is a hospital. And more than a month ago, the town was occupied by the Russians. But we've come here to meet with the people, to have a series of interviews and help the people to explain to the listeners what they've been through. And he says the hospital was built only 6 months ago, and now everything inside is destroyed. Terrible wreckage. And he said the mission of Radio Maria in the Ukraine is to give people hope, to give them light and meaning. And we've had that idea with it's true of the role of the church, really, but we've heard of Radio Maria in difficult countries like the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as they're starting now in Sudan, helping people towards reconciliation, and maintaining peace, really, an instrument of peace. So he says, how is Radio Maria Ukraine doing after 6 months of war? Some of our radio towers were destroyed, but now they're all working again. They've since been repaired. In Kharkiv, the city partly occupied by the Russians. Again, since we're uncertainty there exactly, but the tower there has been repaired and we can transmit from there again. So I'm assuming they're probably on FM, and they're on FM frequencies. We're not as dependent on towers, I don't think, as much. I suppose we are with telephone masts, all right, but FM is a little different. He says, I've spoken with an official of the government who has made a proposal to increase the capacity of the transmitters located in the south of the Ukraine. And this means that Radio Maria can transmit to the city of Zaporozhye, but also in Cherson, a city in the centre of the region. Then we were asked whether Radio Maria can also broadcast on other platforms, the internet, and that seems to be a possibility, or it seems to be working. I'm not quite sure I followed the exact translation there. Our Radio Maria staff are also slowly returning. We can work more or less in a normal way, quote unquote. The war is obviously still on. Our volunteers are also returning to Kiev, but not all of them. And maybe soon we can get our normal programming kind of back together again.
Very brave, Father.
So he mentioned the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, not usually celebrated in a big way in the Ukraine, but it's a national feast, and instead of meeting with thousands of peoples in the squares, this time we celebrated Holy Mass underground. So the poor man and the poor people of Ukraine, they're still under a great duress by the sounds of things. But it is intriguing that the Russian attacks, they haven't sort of destroyed all the infrastructure by way of electricity or, again, communication masts and towers and things. It does seem they haven't absolutely just, sort of carpet bombed the place or whatever they say. They've left some of these things going. So, anyways, they're managing, and it seems like some of them are returning. So that's good, and I'd love to hear that news of some of our Ukrainian visitors here being enabled to go back home.
God love them,
and return, because it just can't be easy. The lovely Ukrainians that we met in Connemara were having to, in the Gaeltacht, having to learn Irish as well as a bit of English that they might have. And the lovely Ukrainians down in Wexford as well. And I meant to speak actually with Martina, because there was one of those ladies who was an opera singer. She was the lady who was on Radio Maria in the Ukraine, and I was anxious for her to visit. And she had come to Dublin, and whatever miscommunication or misunderstanding, the opportunity was missed. So I texted her, and I do hope she'll be able to pay us another visit another time. But she sent us some pictures of her in Radio Maria in the Ukraine.
Oh, right.
With having visited there. Anyway, please God, that will work out too. All these things.
Wonderful.
So it's good to hear Radio Maria is playing its noble part in these places and in very difficult circumstances, and trying to reach out to people. Where we haven't had word either as well, and I must follow through again. I did try to give Bernadette a shout there. she had been to Australia to see how Father Sam was getting on in Melbourne. No update there, so again, it's just a reminder to self again. See if we can follow through. We were chatting the other day as well. We must try and reconnect with Radium Ray England and try and do it at a joint broadcast there. So again, and they've got a new priest director there, and they're opening up an office, a studio in London. The end of September.
Wonderful.
So I hope to travel over for that occasion.
That would be great, Father. Yes.
Be nice, and if we can build a little.
The connection would be fantastic, Father.
And Raphael was suggesting that they've got at least inquiries or little tentative steps of establishing Radio Ray in Scotland.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yes.
Be interesting. Interesting too. And who knows, from Scotland maybe towards the Nordic countries.
Yes.
I know that in the Legion of Mary, I know if they still do, they would send Legion projects from legionaries, Legion of Mary members in Scotland, to Finland.
Wow.
Regularly.
Right.
And there was a Scottish couple who used to come here to Dublin to report at the Legion meetings about their summer PPC projects to Finland. And it was just, again, amazing. Yeah. The grace that would accompany them, but just the kind of barren sort of wasteland of just non-religion, not even irreligion, not even anti, just kind of uncultivated souls.
Yes, absolutely. So but it must be wonderful, Father, for somebody who doesn't really have the faith in God to get it and to be told about it. Because if you're growing up in a place where it's not been taught to you as a child, how are you going to know? So it'd be wonderful, Father, to know that God loves you no matter where you are or who you are. He still loves you.
And maybe we take for granted the fact that there's a kind of a strong sense of faith still here, and that at least we know where to go to. It's not far away, so we can tap into it, and there's support in fellow believers at hand, even if some of us are struggling.
And that It's wonderful, Father. That, it's so sad for the people abroad who haven't had the opportunity of knowing about God and knowing about Jesus and how much He loves them, and He's there for them. All they have to do is to talk to Him and say, "Lord Jesus, help me."
Yeah, that's it. And that, again, what is the Irish expression that the help of the Lord is nearer than the door. I could try it in Irish, but I know I make a mess of it. But the Lord is very sort of close to us. It's part of our culture and our heritage. We're kind of steeped in it, So the walking tour we're doing around Dublin this coming Thursday, around to the 5 inner city churches, gives a sense of the way the faith in our country is just steeped in our history. And these are big churches. From Sean McDermott Street, we'll be there at 10, Our Lady of Lourdes. Going up to Gardner Street is a fine big church.
Yes,
only 10-15-minute walk away.
Yeah.
And then another 10-minute walk back down to the Pro Cathedral. Again, another fine big inner city
Pro
church.
Cathedral is lovely, yes.
And across the river, Clarendon Street then is the next one. That's a fine big church in its own right too. And Whitefriars Street, a lovely church again within range. And you could rattle off a whole bunch of inner city churches, could you? Like Francis Street, St. Saviour's and Dominic Street.
Yes.
You could list us with the Blessed Sacrament Fathers.
You went up on Grafton Street too, Father.
But that's St. Teresa's. That's Clarendon Street, that one, is it?
Yes, it's in between the two.
St. Stephen's Green is the University Church is there. What other ones are in and around the city? There's a plethora of them, all within. You could add Aaron Key, is it? You could head up to Phibsborough, the Vincentians.
There's one up on the Liffey, Father.
Adam and Eve's, is it? Franciscans. Yeah. So we're about a dozen churches there.
You could spend a whole week there, Father, going around the wall.
You'd be pretty tired trotting around the wall. But it gives a sense of that's still there. It hasn't gone away.
Yes.
And I know my own native Cork City, the same, within even closer distance of each other. You have St. Augustine's huge church, the Augustinians, the Franciscans in Liberty Street, another massive church, St. Peter and Paul's Parish Church. They're literally 2 minutes of each other. Then the Dominicans, Pope's Quay will be maybe 5 or 10 minutes away. The Capuchins, Holy Trinity, again 5 minutes the other way, 10 minutes the other way. And then you can start heading outwards further out of the city. There's any number of churches within very close range.
Fantastic.
So they're there, and they're a presence, and the faith hasn't gone away, and people are still going there. I lament a little bit that it's not in the same numbers.
No.
It's
It's Merchants Quay, Father. They feed the people.
Too. Yeah, they're doing great.
They do great work
in Dublin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same if you went to Belfast or go to Galway, go to Limerick.
Yes.
There'll be scatter churches, and it'll be both parish and religious communities.
Yes.
And again, sadly dwindling perhaps, but nonetheless a huge legacy.
Yes.
So like if you go to Finland or Sweden, you're going to be travelling for hours probably trying to find the next nearest church.
Yes. It's in the Irish people, Father, and thank God it is. And even if they're not going, at the back of their mind they know it's there.
Deep down.
Exactly.
Down. Scratch the surface, I'm convinced of that. But we have to go out and do the scratching. We've got to go out and talk to them, meet people and invite them back in and make it a welcoming environment for them.
It's absolutely wonderful. It gives you such peace of mind.
Mm.
I mean, everybody has problems and everybody's worried about this, that and the other. But if you just put it all in God's hands, things work out.
Do indeed. And the fellowship that comes with that then in faith, which is what we try to do here at Radium Ray. When you come on in and visit us. Our time is gone, Roisín. Another Chatechesis.
Flies away, Father.
Flies away. So thanks for your company today. Thanks for joining us visually as well. If you're watching back later again, please feel free to get in touch. 12 o'clock now. We'll pause thanks to Coit on the mixing desk. We'll have our Angelus and our midday prayer.